Let's take a look at a pretty extensive example in which we're trying to find net income for a project. So we have a company, Ice Cream Ice Cream, and they're thinking about adding a flavor. It would last for 1 year, so it narrows down our analysis, called Super Strawberry Explosion. And what we want to find is the net income that we want to use when we're analyzing the project. So remember, the emphasis is on incremental, and so we're going to get a lot of information, and we need to figure out the appropriate revenues, the appropriate cost, the appropriate depreciation, the relevant interest, and do the appropriate analysis, and then figure out the appropriate taxes, and do some addition and subtraction, some multiplication, and boom, get the net income. So the firm expects sales of the new flavors to be 360,000. And regarding costs, there's one source of variable costs. Those are ice cream containers. So the more ice cream that gets sold, the more containers that are necessary, the higher those costs. But given where we expect things to be, expected costs are anticipated to be 130,000. Relevant depreciation for the new flavor is expected to be 68,000. Two sources of fixed costs. So remember, total costs equal fixed costs plus variable costs. So we have to figure out what's relevant for each of these components of fixed costs, add it to the variable costs, and we'll have costs for our analysis. First of all is marketing costs. And so right now the firm currently sells 21 flavors. And each of those flavors would be apportioned, if the project's not pursued, marketing costs of 100,000. If they do pursue the project and add the new flavor, then there would be 22 flavors, and each would be allocated $96,000 in marketing costs. So we can use that information and maybe figure out what the relevant are the costs relevant, maybe not, and if they are, figure out what we need to take into account. Second, there's licensing costs. So the firm just signed a deal where SpongeBob is going to eat a scoop of the new flavor on a particular episode next season. In exchange, Ice Cream's going to pay Nickelodeon $45,000, and we're interested in the net income figure in year one. And guess what? This payment happens exactly in 1 year, which puts it in the relevant time frame. And finally, there is another flavor, strawberry. So the firm currently sells strawberry, and they have determined that if they introduce this new flavor, then there's some folks that are going to buy the new flavor that, had it never been introduced, would have bought a scoop of strawberry or bought some strawberry. And as a result of the new flavor, it's going to have an effect on sales. In fact, it'll be 35,000 less as a result of the new flavor, but that means less costs, and so costs would be $20,000 less than they would be as a result of doing the project. So it gives you some idea of what the decision to do the project would have on revenues and costs. And finally, taxes are 40%. And so the question is, what is the relevant income that should be used? And the approach we want to take is to get relevant revenue, relevant costs, and relevant depreciation, so we can get EBIT, because remember, sales minus cost minus depreciation is EBIT. There's no information on interest, and even if there was, it would be zero. So we can use EBIT to get taxes, subtract that out, and we have net income. And basically, we're going to figure out what relevant revenue should be and what relevant cost should be. We're given relevant depreciation, and then after that we just do some subtraction, some multiplication, and everything follows from there. So what is the relevant amount of revenue? So we're giving some information. Number one, the firm expects sales of the new flavor to be $360,000. So by embarking on this project, there's $360,000 in sales. In addition, there is a side effect, that there's strawberry, which, if they introduce the new flavor, sales would be $35,000 less than they would be had they not introduced the flavor. And so as a result, we want to take that into account as a side effect, negative $35,000. So the total effect on the firm is that revenues would increase by $325,000. Revenues would be $360,000 higher directly as a result of selling, but regular Strawberry would go down by 35, so the firm would net out at plus 325. And that's the number we're going to use in our analysis. How about costs? Lots going on with costs. You can tell by the small font. So first of all, and again, relevant costs are going to be variable costs plus fixed marketing costs plus relevant fixed marketing costs plus relevant fixed licensing costs. So we have the relevant variable costs of 130. That's the new containers. So they wouldn't need those containers if they didn't do the project. So that's relevant. The second is needing to look at an allocated cost, but not say, oh, costs go from 100,000 per flavor to 96, so they go down 4, or saying, oh, it's 96,000, so that's the answer. You need to look at the total marketing cost to the firm with the project, and we know that that would involve 22 flavors, all being charged 96,000. So we know that the total marketing costs, if the firm embarks on this project, would be 2,112,000. If they don't embark on this project, the cost would be 21, which is the number of flavors that there would be, times 100,000 for each, because that's what they're all allocated. It's 2.1 million. So marketing costs would increase by 12,000 as a result of embarking on the project, and that's what we want to incorporate. Without, it'd be 2.1. With, it'd be 2,112,000, which is 12,000 higher. That's what the decision to embark on this project means for the firm. How about licensing costs? They are irrelevant. They are a sunk cost. Why? They just signed a deal. So Ice Cream is going to have to pay Nickelodeon $45,000 no matter what. If SpongeBob, because SpongeBob's going to eat a flavor. If they go ahead and don't pursue the project, then SpongeBob will eat the flavor and it just won't be associated with a real flavor. If they do embark on it, SpongeBob will eat it on TV and it'll be associated with something the kids can tell their parents to buy in the grocery store. But regardless, there's a $45,000 payment, so incremental with minus without is equal to 0. Finally, there's the side effect, and cost would go down by 20 because of the lower demand, the lower need for Strawberry, and so we want to take into account a negative $20,000 side effect. So we put it all together where it's $130,000 in extra costs associated directly with the new flavor, $12,000 in marketing, nothing with respect to licensing, and negative 20,000 with respect to reduced side effects with reduced sale of Strawberry. So what's the effect for the whole firm? An increase in cost of $122,000. So again, you got 130 plus an extra 12, so it's 142 higher, but you got 20 lower because of less Strawberry. So for the whole firm, it's plus 122. And now we just put it all together. Revenues of 325, which we computed, minus relevant costs of 122, minus relevant depreciation of 68,000, means EBIT, which is our taxable analysis, is 135,000. The tax rate's 40%, so 0.4 times 135,000 is 54,000, leaving the firm with a net income for this project of 81,000 in year 1. So again, you can see how we had to analyze all the different pieces, but we put it together, come up with net income, and that's one small piece of finding the relevant cash flows that for each year that we would discount in order to get NPV to make our decision.